I remember as a kid, for the first time, noticing that the clouds moved. I just remember them slowly sliding across the blue firmament. And it felt like a superpower, almost. I wondered if anyone else could notice that the clouds moved. And a key part to that realization was realizing that I needed to be still to notice the movement in the sky. Clouds and sky are key metaphors that a lot of traditions and meditation teachers use to kind of draw this distinction between the pristine and vast quality of our mind, the sky, and that which may obscure that pristine clarity, which are the clouds, thoughts and emotions. Of course, thoughts and emotions are not inherently bad in a lot of ways, not in a lot of ways, but they help us navigate our day-to-day life, and we need them. But not being aware of our thoughts and emotions and how they may tint and filter our experience can prove troublesome for a lot of us. And so that's the basic thing that we're trying to realize when we're sitting and practicing meditation, is noticing the movement that happens within us that almost has nothing to do with what's going on outside of us. For example, when you meditate, your body is anchored in space and time. You're just sitting. However, the movement in our mind doesn't stop. There's incessant discursive chatter, narrative, and a wide array of feelings just constantly bursting forth. Just like the heart pumps blood, our minds just pump and secrete this internal phenomena, these contents of mind. And a lot of them sometimes are distressing, and there's that constant almost movement is nauseating and exhausting in a lot of ways. And you just can't seem to find some sense of settling, some sense of just peace or equanimity, or maybe not even having some sense of compassion for ourselves or for somebody else. And I think that's the key here, is that when we're propelled by, possessed by thoughts and emotions that we're not aware of, our capacity for compassion, our capacity for perspective is severely limited, and in a lot of ways is twisted and distorted. I like the phrase paying attention because, sometimes I think of thoughts or emotions, sometimes like businessmen or con men of sorts, just vying, trying to collect your attention as much as possible. And, for once, we're not going to be buying into the infomercials of our mind. We're not paying over our attention to the chatter, to the voices, to the emotions that are going, but instead we're just with equanimity, with a sense of rootedness in this present moment. We just walk by them, or allow them to walk by us, as they do. And that's a key phrase that I'll be using during our meditations, is letting go. Our thoughts and our emotions have no true staying power. In a lot of ways, they're as insubstantial as the clouds that move through the sky and change, get smaller, bigger, release rain, dissipate, and then come back again. And what we'll begin to realize is our thoughts and our emotions are exactly like that. Even our moment-to-moment experience of them is constantly shifting. And yet somehow we can feel almost claustrophobic in our own minds, sometimes as if the walls are closing in. And yet, what are they really? Those kind of questions are perhaps a little bit too deep to get into this, and meditation being a very personal and experiential practice, you'll be able to answer those questions for yourself. And some of the questions that you may begin to ask will be life questions that will open doors for you and your experience in very wonderful and incredible ways. And I'll leave that piece up to you and your own discovery. So when I'll be leading the meditation for the first one, I like to offer two choices that you can explore for yourself. The first one is what I generally practice, is called open awareness meditation. And this is just, in moments when you're noticing that you're getting lost in some sort of narrative. Oh man, the McDonald's that I had yesterday was so good. I wish I had some McDonald's. Oh, I'm thinking about McDonald's. Just that little space of realizing that you're thinking, as opposed to absolutely being submerged, engrossed in the thought. Just noticing the thought, letting it pass away, and if it comes back or it keeps going, try to just gently detach from the thought. Or maybe there's a more powerful thought, maybe a past regret or a difficult situation that you're going through currently. Gently, the same way, just allow that thought some space and let it take on whatever shapes it wants to. Let it tell whatever story. And a lot of the times you'll feel that underneath, or really what this thought is embedded in and trying to communicate, is some deeper feeling. Not disregarding feelings again, but allow the feeling to be the feeling. Allow it to be born in its own way. Don't try and push it out. Don't try and feed it. Don't do anything with it. Just allow the feeling to arise and go away naturally. And some feelings are more robust and attention grabbing, and others are kind of vague and easy to let go of. And just come back to that open awareness of just noticing the various thoughts that come up. Maybe it's a song, maybe it's a fight you got into the day before, maybe it's looking forward to the weekend. Regardless, no matter the quality of the thought, just let it go. Don't try and hold on to it. Don't try and make it anything more than it is or anything less. Just notice what's happening in your mind. And the same thing goes for emotions. And I think there's a more powerful dimension to emotions, and I really advise not negating anything, not trying to push anything out. And if there is something that's arising that's really difficult, and you feel the need to just, or you feel that tears are coming on, or you feel tension in your body, that's okay. All of that is okay. Having thoughts is okay. Having these emotions is okay. Whatever moves through the body is okay. We're providing, at least for 5-10 minutes of your day, we're just offering a container to ourselves that's as wide as the sky. This container being our very own mind, to ourselves, to what's happening within ourselves. And the key here is not attaching to any thought that we start to experience or any emotion, just allowing. And over time, you'll begin to notice that just noticing a thought, the thought of its own seems to evaporate. And noticing an emotion, sometimes it seems to it evaporates, and sometimes it's something that needs to be seen. It's something that needs to be witnessed. and deeply so. The next technique I would like to share is counting of the breath. Sometimes trying to become aware of our mind in the beginning is so hectic. It's like for the first time beginning to realize the nature of our mind and the kind of incessant noise and how much movement is in there. It can be overwhelming. So as an anchoring practice, I'd like to offer counting the breath. So if just sitting and having that sense of open awareness and letting go of thoughts proves a little too difficult and it never felt like you've got to settle a little bit, then I would advise trying counting the breath. So that would look like on the inhale, counting 1, on the exhale, counting 2, inhale 3, exhale 4, all the way up to 10. And once you hit 10, start back at 1 again. And the game is not to hit 10 as many times as you can. What we're trying to do is just see if we can keep our awareness from getting swept up in thoughts and emotions by anchoring ourselves and counting the breath. So for example, you might start 1 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale, 3 on the inhale, and then get carried away in some sort of fantasy. Or just notice that you're lost in the chatter in your head again. And counting the breath creates this like stark contrast, because when you're lost in the chatter, you'll realize that you weren't aware of counting the breath. So anytime you notice that you're lost in a thought, lost in some sort of chatter or fantasy, notice it, let it go, and come back to counting the breath. Always starting back at 1, and once you hit 10, coming back to 1. So another way you'll know that you're not really paying attention to your breath is that you'll be counting and you'll go past 10. That's another pointer that you've totally lost contact with your practice. There was something else that I needed to mention. Oh, when counting the breath, wherever the breath feels most salient, put your attention there. So if breathing and you feel the air moving through the tip of your nose, you can place your mind there, or you can place it in the diaphragm of your body, the kind of the bottom of your belly where you'll be breathing. And that's where you'll keep your attention throughout the meditation. So wherever you feel the breath most clearly, place your mind there as you count. At the end, I'd also like to offer a bonus meditation, which will be cultivating something as opposed to just letting go. And I call it an open heart meditation. And so I'll lead that as well. And all you need to do is press play on the video, and we'll start together. Each meditation period, I'll start with ringing a bell 3 times, and at the end of each meditation, I'll ring the bell twice.